A legal firearm in one U.S. state could become a serious crime the moment you cross into another. And in 2026, some states now have gun laws so strict that even longtime gun owners are struggling to keep up. New bans, new permit rules, magazine restrictions, hidden transport laws, and penalties that can turn one mistake into a felony. But here's the shocking part. One of the states on this list used to be considered relatively gun-friendly. Not anymore. And by the end of this video, you'll see which state many gun owners now call the toughest in America. Before we begin, comment your state below and tell me, do you think your gun laws are too strict, too loose, or about right? And if you enjoy legal breakdowns, current events, and law-related content like this, don't forget to subscribe and share this video, because some of the laws on this list may surprise you. Number 5. Maryland. The pre-approved gun list. In Maryland, the rules aren't just strict, they're strategic. The state doesn't just regulate gun ownership, it pre-approves which guns you're even allowed to buy. It's called the Handgun Roster Board, that a government panel that decides which specific models of handguns are safe for consumer sale. Sounds reasonable, until you realize that if your preferred handgun isn't on the list, it's not less safe, it's just illegal. Thousands of gun owners find out the hard way that the pistol they carried legally for years in Virginia, Pennsylvania, or Florida suddenly becomes contraband the moment they cross into Maryland. I moved here for work. Same background check, same training, same gun. But they told me my firearm was banned, not because it's dangerous, but because the board never listed it. And that's the part few understand. These decisions aren't made by juries, or courts, or even voters. They're made by bureaucrats behind closed doors, deciding what guns are safe enough for you. The irony? Maryland still faces one of the highest violent crime rates in the region. Yet, the state continues to insist that safety means less access for the law-abiding. Then came the Firearm Safety Act of 2013, the turning point. Suddenly, gun buyers needed fingerprinting, training certificates, and registration for every handgun purchase. The process can take weeks, sometimes months, just to legally buy a pistol. In a state that already struggles with delayed approvals, that delay could mean the difference between being prepared and being defenseless. But Maryland's not the only state turning access into a privilege. Because just across the country lies a place where gun laws are so complex, even lawyers struggle to interpret them. A state that banned entire rifle types, demanded registration, and then destroyed the very records that proved you complied. The state that redefined compliance as surrender. Number 4. California. The state of control. California calls itself the model for common-sense gun laws. But to gun owners who actually live here, it feels more like a state of control. From waiting periods and roster lists to registration databases and high-capacity bans, California doesn't just regulate ownership, it regulates trust. For every gun owner here, the law is a maze, 10-day waiting period, even after you've already passed the background check. Ammo purchases must go through background checks too. And if you own a firearm that's grandfathered in, you have to pray you registered it before the deadline. Because in California, a misform can turn a citizen into a criminal overnight. Remember last week, we covered how 2 people in Illinois were arrested because the state system failed to update their renewals on time. If you missed that story, I've pinned the link in the description below, or you can find it on our channel. It's a must-watch for any gun owner who still believes the system will do its job. Now imagine that same system in California, where agencies not only store your firearm data, but can use it to initiate confiscations if they believe you're no longer eligible. Maybe you moved addresses. Maybe you forgot to recertify a training form. Maybe the database just glitched, as it did in 2024, when thousands of owners received letters claiming they possessed unregistered guns that were actually on file. The California Department of Justice has apologized after a data leak exposed gun owners' names and addresses online. Privacy gone. Trust gone. But the control, it keeps growing. Thousands of law-abiding gun owners are quietly leaving this state. They call it the California Exodus. And the question many ask isn't if it will get worse, it's when. But if you think California was bad, wait until you see the East Coast. A state where you can pass every background check, file every form, and still be denied because a judge feels you shouldn't carry. The state where the Second Amendment exists only on paper. And millions of residents are living proof of what happens when freedom turns into a favor. Number 3. New Jersey, where rights require permission. In New Jersey, Owning a firearm isn't a right, it's a request for permission. Before you can even buy a handgun, you'll go through months of background checks, fingerprinting, mental health record searches, and references. All reviewed not by a federal system, but by local police chiefs who can deny you based on justifiable need. The term sounds harmless, but it's the same justifiable need clause that, for decades, effectively eliminated concealed carry rights for most residents. Even after the Supreme Court's 2022 Bruin decision forced states to stop using may-issue systems, New Jersey lawmakers moved fast, not to comply, but to replace one restriction with another. They passed sweeping bans on carrying in what they called sensitive places. Churches, restaurants, public parks, parking lots, even your own car could qualify. It became a joke among gun rights advocates. In New Jersey, the only safe place to carry is your imagination. In 2024, multiple lawsuits challenged the law, and while parts were struck down, others still stand. Meaning, even today, carrying legally can feel like walking through a minefield. One wrong turn, one unclear sign, one place not marked on the map, and a lawful carrier can be arrested for a felony. They told me I couldn't carry in the parking lot, one gun owner told us. I locked it in my trunk, drove away, and got stopped 2 miles later. They said I violated transport rules. It's stories like these that remind every gun owner, when the law becomes too complex to follow, it's no longer protection, it's entrapment. But across the Hudson River, there's a state that's taken things even further, where judges rewrite carry laws overnight, where permits vanish from the system without warning, and where the phrase may issue still lives, even after the Supreme Court said it's unconstitutional. Coming up next, the Empire State itself, where freedom lost its appeal. Number 2. New York, where freedom lost its appeal. In 2022, the Supreme Court ruled that New York's gun laws went too far, that carrying a firearm in public is a constitutional right, not a privilege. But in the years that followed, New York didn't just resist that ruling. It rewrote the rules to take back everything it lost. They called it the Concealed Carry Improvement Act. The name alone sounds like progress, but inside the fine print, it turned freedom into a maze of red tape. Before you can carry, you now need 4 character references, hours of in-person interviews, a list of your social media accounts for the past 3 years, and written good moral character approval, decided by local officials who can say no without explanation. Some applicants waited months. Others were denied for reasons as vague as discretionary concern. And in upstate counties, police departments began revoking permits retroactively, claiming past applicants no longer met the state's new moral standard. It's what one gun rights lawyer called freedom by permission slip. And for many, it doesn't stop there. Under the Sensitive Places Clause, New York banned carry in nearly every major area. Public transportation, churches, bars, theaters, playgrounds, even Times Square. It's a list so long, one federal judge called it a direct insult to the Supreme Court. Federal courts have repeatedly ruled sections of New York's gun law unconstitutional, yet enforcement continues pending appeal. So where does that leave New York's gun owners? Trapped in legal limbo, where what's legal one week can become criminal the next. I did everything by the book, she says. They still suspended my permit. No reason. No explanation. Just gone. For millions of Americans, New York has become the warning sign. Proof that even a Supreme Court victory can be erased by the stroke of a state pen. But there's still one place left, the state that stands alone, where gun ownership isn't just discouraged, it's almost impossible. A place where permits are nearly mythical, where self-defense laws favor the attacker, and where the government keeps you on a list, even after you move away. Final state on this list. Number 1. Hawaii, the island where freedom ends. The one place in America where gun ownership isn't just restricted, it's nearly impossible. It looks like paradise from above. But for gun owners, Hawaii is a bureaucratic nightmare. Permits are slow, approval selective, and everything, from your background check to your registration, must pass through the personal discretion of local police chiefs. Miss one form, one deadline, one minor technicality, and your entire application is void. You can't buy, you can't carry, you can't even legally own without a paper trail approved by the government. Hawaii's system is often described as the most restrictive in the nation. And for good reason. Every gun must be registered within 5 days. Failure to do so, a felony charge. After the Supreme Court's 2022 Bruin ruling, Hawaii promised reform. But 3 years later, delays and denials still dominate, proving that even Supreme Court victories can be buried under red tape. Despite federal rulings, local officials continue to deny or delay concealed carry permits. And so Hawaii remains what many call the quiet model, a blueprint for how to disarm a population without ever saying the word ban. Because when the government doesn't need to take your guns by force, it can simply make you wait long enough to give up. That's not safety, that's control, hidden behind a smile.